Most people believe silence is the ultimate weapon. They think that when you say nothing, you win. That when you don't respond, you rise above. And in many ways, that's true. Silence has always carried a mysterious kind of power. It unsettles those who expect you to break. It creates an aura of discipline, and it forces others to question themselves while you remain composed. Silence can protect your dignity when words would only betray your emotions. It can shield you from the traps of arguments, from saying something you'll regret, and from revealing your weaknesses too soon. But here's the truth almost no one talks about. Silence is not the destination. It's only the doorway. Because when you choose silence, what actually happens? You're left alone with your own thoughts. And in that stillness, the noise inside your mind doesn't simply vanish. The heartbreak still aches. The betrayal still burns. The insult still echoes in your chest. Silence may keep you from showing your pain to the world, but it does not automatically erase that pain. In fact, many men use silence as a mask, appearing calm on the outside while secretly collapsing within. The Stoics understood this danger. They practiced silence, yes, but they never stopped there. For Marcus Aurelius, silence was only the first move, the pause before something greater. Epictetus did not simply say, "Be silent." He said, "Control your thoughts, redirect your impressions, master your inner world." In other words, silence is powerful, but silence without transformation is wasted. Think about it. What good is silence if, in the quiet, you're still replaying every memory, every argument, every moment she walked away or he disrespected you? What good is silence if you're secretly drowning in your own bitterness, just waiting for the moment to explode? The truth is, silence protects the surface, but it does nothing for the depths. And that's why I want to share with you something far more powerful, something the modern world rarely speaks of, a strategy beyond silence, a strategy that doesn't just conceal your pain, but transmutes it. That doesn't just make people wonder what you're thinking, but makes you unshakable in what you know. This is the hidden Stoic weapon, a practice of inner redirection, a method to turn suffering into discipline, heartbreak into fuel, and rage into wisdom. Once you understand this, you'll see why silence is not the endgame. It's only the first step. The real power lies in what you do with the storm that silence exposes. Now, let's begin. Silence works because it creates space. When you stop speaking, when you refuse to engage, you instantly separate yourself from the noise of others. You deny them the fuel they crave. People want a reaction. When you withhold it, they stumble. They start to doubt themselves. They start to question what you're thinking, why you're so calm, why you refuse to play the game. Silence has always been a mark of restraint, of discipline, of dignity. It's the first shield of the Stoic. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should be like the rock against which the waves break. Silence allows you to be that rock, still, unmoved, unshaken, while chaos crashes against you. In a world where everyone rushes to respond, to argue, to prove themselves, silence is rebellion. It makes you rare. It makes you mysterious. And in that mystery, people respect you, even fear you. That's why silence is powerful. It's why so many modern men cling to it as their ultimate weapon. But here's where most get it wrong. They think silence alone makes them strong. They believe that if they don't reply, if they disappear, if they stay quiet, they've already won. But what they forget is this: silence is only external. Inside, your mind may still be screaming, your heart may still be burning. And the truth is, if you do not master what happens inside, then your silence is nothing more than a mask. A weak man can stay silent for a day, but a truly disciplined man can take the pain within that silence and transform it. Think about it. Have you ever gone silent after an argument, after heartbreak, after betrayal? Outwardly you looked calm, but inwardly you replayed every word, every memory, every insult. That's not strength. That's paralysis. That's the illusion of control, not control itself. Silence kept your lips closed, but it did nothing to free your mind. This is why silence, though powerful, is incomplete. The Stoics knew it. Marcus did not write his meditations in silence. He wrote to discipline his own mind. Epictetus did not tell his students to merely endure insults in silence. He taught them to reframe those insults into training for the soul. Seneca did not advise silence when wronged. He advised converting anger into reason, turning wounds into wisdom. Silence can stop the bleeding, but it cannot heal the wound. That is why, if you rely on silence alone, you remain stuck. You look unbothered, but inside, you are still chained, and that's why we must go further. Beyond silence lies the strategy most people never discover, the strategy of inner redirection, where silence becomes not just a shield, but a forge. Silence is the pause, but it is not the answer. The true Stoic doesn't stop at silence. He uses that silence as a gateway into something far greater. And this is where most men fail, because they confuse avoidance with mastery. They think that ignoring the world is the same as conquering themselves. But the Stoics reveal a hidden path, the strategy of inner redirection. What does this mean? It means that when the world provokes you, when someone betrays you, when life cuts deep, you don't just withdraw into silence and wait for the storm to pass. You take all that fire, all the emotion, all the anger, all the heartbreak, and you turn it inward, redirecting it into strength, discipline, and clarity. You don't just endure the pain, you transmute it. Picture this: you've been insulted. Most men either lash out or go silent, but the Stoic redirection is different. Instead of reacting or suppressing, you pause, you step into silence, yes, but then you take that energy and transform it. You ask, what does this teach me about myself? How can this sharpen me? How can this pain fuel my growth rather than enslave me? Suddenly, the insult is not wasted. It becomes raw material for your transformation. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. He wasn't just talking about obstacles in the world. He was talking about obstacles within, the emotions, the frustrations, the heartbreak. What stands in your way internally can become your path forward if you redirect it. This is why inner redirection is more powerful than silence. Silence is passive. It hides your response. But inner redirection is active. It shapes who you are. One is a mask, the other is a forge. Silence keeps the enemy guessing. Redirection keeps you growing. Silence may protect your dignity for a moment, but redirection builds unshakable dignity for a lifetime. The man who masters this strategy no longer fears betrayal, heartbreak, or insult, because everything that comes against him, he bends it inward, redirects it, and turns it into fuel. He becomes untouchable, not because the world leaves him alone, but because nothing the world throws at him is wasted. That is the greater strategy, a weapon few ever wield. Not silence alone, but silence followed by transformation, the power to take the storms of life and use them to forge a mind and soul that cannot be broken. The beauty of this strategy is that it isn't something new. It is something the Stoics themselves lived and breathed. They didn't just talk about silence, they talked about the battlefield of the mind. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, sat alone at night writing in his journal. Why? Because he knew silence was only the first step. He needed to train his thoughts. He needed to redirect his inner storms into philosophy, clarity, and duty. His meditations are proof that silence without inner work is hollow. He spoke to himself in those pages, reminding himself again and again, "Control your mind, or it will control you." Epictetus, born a slave, understood this more than anyone. He was beaten, humiliated, stripped of dignity. Yet he did not lash out, nor did he retreat into mere silence. He redirected. He told his students, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And by reaction, he didn't mean yelling back or staying quiet. He meant the inner response, the ability to take what happens and reframe it into strength. His life was living proof that even the most powerless man can become unshakable through inner redirection. And then we have Seneca, advisor to emperors, who lived surrounded by politics, betrayal, and plots. He knew that silence might keep him alive in the short term, but only philosophy, only the redirection of his fears and anger into reason could make him free. He wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Why? Because the mind left unchecked in silence will torture itself. But the mind redirected can find peace even in chaos. This is the Stoic foundation. Silence is not the weapon. The weapon is what you build inside that silence. The Stoic does not waste his pain. He does not let insults fester. He does not let heartbreak rot his spirit. Instead, he uses them, redirecting every wound into wisdom, every loss into resilience, every moment of suffering into strength. Imagine a forge in the heart of every Stoic. Silence is the moment the iron is placed on the fire. But redirection, that is the hammer striking again and again, shaping the soul into something indestructible. That is why Marcus could endure the weight of an empire, why Epictetus could rise above slavery, why Seneca could face exile and death with calm. The foundation of Stoicism is not silence, it is transformation, and transformation only begins when you learn to redirect. This is the turning point, the place where silence ends and transmutation begins. Picture yourself in one of life's darkest moments. Your heart has been broken, someone you trusted betrayed you, or maybe you've been humiliated in front of others. The natural instinct is either to lash out or to retreat into silence. Lashing out burns you and everyone around you. Silence, while stronger, still leaves the fire raging inside. But the Stoic strategy goes further. It takes that fire and forges it into something new. This is what I mean by inner transmutation. Inner transmutation is the act of deliberately taking the raw energy of your emotions, rage, grief, jealousy, despair, and reshaping them into power. Most men let those emotions control them. They drink them away, numb them, distract themselves, or hide in silence hoping the storm passes. But the Stoic doesn't let storms pass. He learns how to harness their winds. Think of it this way. When someone betrays you, that pain is fuel. In silence, it smolders and eats at you. In transmutation, you take that same pain and channel it into discipline, waking up earlier, training harder, focusing sharper. When you're insulted, that sting can either rot in your chest or you can transmute it into resilience, building a mindset so strong that words no longer penetrate. When heartbreak rips you apart, you can either sit in silence and replay the past, or you can redirect that energy into rebuilding yourself, into becoming the man who no longer begs for love, but radiates it from within. Marcus Aurelius didn't just endure hardship. He used hardship to deepen his philosophy, to sharpen his perspective. Epictetus didn't just stay silent as a slave. He used his suffering to become a teacher of kings. That's the difference. They didn't waste pain, they converted it. This is the shift. Silence restrains the tongue, but transmutation liberates the soul. One is about what you don't say. The other is about what you become. And when you master this, Every insult, every heartbreak, every setback is no longer a wound. It is a weapon placed in your hand. Remember this: silence is the pause, but transmutation is the transformation. That is the strategy beyond silence. That is what makes a Stoic untouchable. So, how do you actually do this? How do you take pain, betrayal, heartbreak, or insult and transmute it into power instead of letting it consume you? The Stoics gave us a blueprint, a process that, if you commit to it, will reshape the way you face every challenge. Here's how to practice inner redirection step by step. Step 1. Observe without judgment. The first move is awareness. When something strikes you, an insult, a betrayal, the sting of rejection, don't run and don't react. Simply stop and observe. Tell yourself, this is what it feels like to be wounded. Most men panic at this stage, but the Stoic pauses. By naming the feeling, you prevent it from ruling you. Step 2. Detach the story. Pain is raw, but suffering is the story we attach to it. She left me, so I'm worthless. They betrayed me, so I'll never trust again. These stories chain us. The Stoic strips them away. Epictetus would remind himself, it's not the thing itself that harms you, but the opinion you form of it. Detachment means separating the fact from the fiction. She left, he betrayed. That is all. The rest is imagination. Step 3. Redirect the energy inward. Here's where silence turns to fire. Take the energy you would waste on replaying the past or plotting revenge and turn it toward yourself. Lift the weight, run the mile, write the page, meditate, build. The same energy that could have destroyed you now becomes the power that rebuilds you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. The obstacle isn't blocking you, it's fueling you." Step 4. Convert reaction into discipline. Every urge to lash out, every desire to wallow, is an opportunity to forge discipline. Instead of reacting outward, you react inward with structure. Create habits, routines, practices that channel your emotions into progress. If anger surges, let it fuel your workout. If heartbreak haunts, let it fuel your creative work. If betrayal stings, let it fuel your self-mastery. The discipline you create becomes your shield and your weapon. Step 5. Reframe as growth. Finally, the Stoic reframes. What others call pain, you call training. What others see as rejection, you see as redirection. Life has handed you raw material, and you've used it to grow. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold. Adversity tests brave men." Each trial becomes proof that you are becoming unbreakable. This is how you practice inner redirection. It's not about denying your emotions, and it's not about drowning in them either. It's about bending them, shaping them, transmuting them into strength. Silence alone hides the storm. But this practice? This makes the storm your ally. Let's bring this down from philosophy into real life, because ideas mean nothing unless you can live them. Picture this. You've just gone through a breakup. She left you. Maybe she chose someone else. Maybe she said you weren't enough. That moment cuts deeper than anything else. Most men do one of two things. They either lash out, sending angry texts, begging for answers, humiliating themselves in desperation, or they go silent, trying to appear strong, while secretly replaying the heartbreak over and over in their mind, outwardly calm, inwardly shattered. Now, let's see what the Stoic strategy of inner redirection looks like here. The moment she walks away, the pain strikes hard. Your chest is tight, your thoughts spiral. Step 1. You observe it. You don't fight the pain, and you don't deny it. You say to yourself, this is grief, this is heartbreak, this is what it feels like to be abandoned. The awareness strips away panic. You're not drowning, you're identifying. Step 2. You detach the story. Instead of saying, "She left me because I wasn't enough," you cut it down to fact. She left. That's it. The story of your worthlessness is your mind torturing you. You let it go. Step 3. You redirect. The surge of energy that wants to text her, stalk her, or collapse into self-pity, you seize it. You take it to the gym. You take it to your journal. You take it into building yourself. Every tear, every ounce of anger becomes fuel. You don't numb the fire, you give it a new purpose. Step 4. You create discipline. Instead of scrolling through her pictures at midnight, you set a rule. You wake up earlier, you train harder, you commit to daily rituals. That discipline channels your heartbreak into momentum. Every urge to break down becomes another brick in the fortress of your self-control. Step 5. You reframe. Instead of telling yourself, "I lost her," you tell yourself, "Life has tested me. Life has sharpened me. This is my training ground." What others see as tragedy, you see as opportunity. Now look at the difference. The man who lashes out loses her respect forever. The man who hides in silence looks strong on the outside, but slowly decays within. But the man who redirects, he becomes something new. His pain doesn't waste him, it shapes him. And in time she may look back and regret leaving, but by then it won't matter, because he's no longer the same man. He has been reforged in the fire of redirection. This is what it looks like in practice. The insult, the betrayal, the heartbreak, these aren't the end. They're raw material, and the Stoic doesn't let raw material rot. He builds. When you live this way, when you don't just stay silent but redirect and transmute, you begin to generate a power that others can feel without you ever saying a word. It's not the shallow mystery of silence anymore. It's the deep gravity of mastery. People notice it. They sense it. They don't always know what changed in you, but they know you are no longer ordinary. Think about it. Most people are slaves to their emotions. An insult ruins their day. A breakup ruins their month. A betrayal ruins their year. They wear their wounds like chains, dragging them everywhere they go. But when you practice inner redirection, those same wounds become your fuel. Your heartbreak makes you stronger. Your anger makes you more disciplined. Your setbacks make you more focused. Instead of being owned by life, you begin to own life. And the aura this creates is undeniable. You stop chasing validation because your energy is no longer leaking outward. It's contained, sharpened, radiating from within. That's why the Stoics were respected, even feared. Not because they shouted louder, but because they carried a calm intensity that could not be shaken. When Marcus Aurelius walked into a room, men felt the weight of his presence, not from arrogance, but from inner control. When you redirect, your eyes change, your posture changes, your voice carries more weight. Why? Because every ounce of you has been forged in trials and turned into strength. You become the man who doesn't need to react, doesn't need to prove himself, doesn't need to beg or explain. Your very being speaks louder than any words could. And here's the paradox. Once you master redirection, even your silence changes. It's no longer the silence of a man hiding his pain. It's the silence of a man who has already conquered it. People feel the difference. They can sense when silence is empty and when silence is powerful. And when yours is backed by inner mastery, that silence shakes people more than shouting ever could. This is the power Stoics carried. This is the power you can build. It's not about pretending to be unbothered. It's about becoming unbothered. Not by ignoring your pain, but by using it. And that is why this strategy is greater than silence. Because silence ends at the lips, but redirection reshapes the soul. Now let's draw the line clearly, because this is where the difference becomes undeniable. Look at how most men live versus how a Stoic man lives. The average man is predictable. When he is insulted, he lashes out. His emotions spill everywhere, and everyone sees his weakness. When he is rejected, he begs or chases, handing over his dignity as if it were worthless. When he is betrayed, he becomes bitter, ranting to anyone who will listen, poisoning himself with his own words. And if he does manage to stay silent, it is the silence of suppression, not strength. He looks calm on the outside, but secretly he is eaten alive within. His silence is not power, it is paralysis. Now contrast that with the Stoic man. He does not waste energy on reaction. He does not lower himself to begging or ranting. His silence is the pause before transformation. The insult he receives becomes the spark that fuels his discipline. The heartbreak he endures becomes the fire that strengthens his spirit. The betrayal he faces becomes the lesson that refines his wisdom. Instead of spiraling downward, he builds upward. Instead of wasting pain, he recycles it into power. And here is the irony. People sense this difference. The average man, when silent, seems weak, nervous, insecure, because his silence hides nothing but fear. But the Stoic man, when silent, seems untouchable. His silence radiates certainty, because it is backed by the inner work he has done. Others look at him and wonder, why doesn't he crumble? Why doesn't he react? What has he found within himself that makes him so steady? This is the split. One man lets life break him, the other lets life build him. One wastes his emotions, the other redirects them. One plays the same game as everyone else, the other rises above the game entirely. And once you've seen this difference, you can never go back. The truth is, most men are trapped in cycles of reaction and silence. But the Stoic man breaks that cycle. He understands that every storm carries energy, and that energy is his to shape. That is why others collapse while he endures. That is why others crave control while he is control. Now you understand the truth. Silence alone is not enough. Yes, silence can protect you, but it cannot transform you. If you stop there, you will always remain half-forged, half-prepared, half-free. The real strategy, the one almost no one practices, is inner redirection. Taking every wound, every insult, every heartbreak, and bending it into fuel, that is the hidden Stoic art. That is the strategy beyond silence. So here is my challenge to you. The next time pain strikes, don't just shut your mouth and suffer in silence. Don't just disappear and hope the storm passes. Stop, observe, detach, redirect, convert, reframe. Take the raw energy of what has hurt you and forge it into something that cannot be broken. Turn heartbreak into discipline. Turn anger into wisdom. Turn betrayal into resilience. Do not let life's blows be wasted. Let them be recycled into your rise. Remember this, the world expects you to collapse. They expect you to lash out or to hide away, broken and bitter. Prove them wrong. Become the one who is not only silent, but unshakable. The one who doesn't just endure the storm, but uses the storm to climb higher. That is the man people cannot understand. That is the man people cannot move. The Stoics left us this gift, but few ever pick it up. Now it's in your hands. The question is, will you waste your pain, or will you forge it? Will you be the man who hides in silence, or the man who transforms in silence? The choice is yours. A strategy better than silence has now been revealed. The only thing left is for you to practice it. And once you do, you will never look at pain, heartbreak, or betrayal the same way again. You will see them for what they truly are, the raw material of your greatness. If this message spoke to you, don't just let it fade away, act on it. Start practicing inner redirection today. And if you want more Stoic truths and hidden strategies to sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Join the brotherhood of men who refuse to break, men who choose to rise. Share this video with someone who needs it, because strength multiplies when it's passed on. Remember, silence may protect you, but transformation will define you. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay untouchable, and keep walking the Stoic path.